Good morning, everyone. Oh, look, someone did show up.
I'm
Good
here.
morning. Good
Good morning.
I didn't think anybody was coming
I got
today.
up, took a shower, and tried to make myself not so congested.
You're a lumberjack. It's your job to be congested.
That always sucks, though.
Yeah, I understand.
Being a
I put this
lumberjack.
shirt. I put this shirt on specifically for the meeting to make sure and live up to the standard.
You're so laggy today, Chris.
I don't
What'd
know
you
why.
do?
Let me delete. I don't know. Let me delete some stuff. Probably all
Delete
these
some
tabs.
stuff.
All
He's
these
gonna
tabs
delete
that
his
are open.
internet.
Probably.
Well, while you do that, we'll get
Someone
this
could
rolling.
figure out how to accidentally do that. It'd be me.
All right, let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Real estate agents, team leaders, team members, brokerage owners, coaches, and people who are up this early and decided to click the button to view live. Today, we're going to take a look at how leadership gets things done and really what we need to do to accomplish goals. There's always changes and growth, and we spend a lot of time trying to focus on just the agents, but guess what? Leadership needs some love too, and there's always room to improve. But you know what? For everybody who is watching right now, do us a huge favor. Let us know that you're actually awake and up. Hit like. Maybe give us a heart if you're really feeling generous. And tell us where you're viewing from today. We'd love to know where you are viewing from today, and what made you click the button? Because I'm kind of curious. Oh, we already got a like. Hey, listen that Lisa Hanners. Thank you, Lisa.
We got Lisa over there.
She loves that flannel. She said,
throwing out the truths about the flannel.
Morristown, a Tennessee represent. All right, so real quick, as we always do, we'll just give a quick brief overview. So this is the R&R Home Team Mega Team Challenge, where we attempt to build a mega team in 1 year from scratch, even though the average mega team takes 5 to 10 years to build. We're a little crazy. We all know that. And yet here we are anyway. Some of you might be wondering, what the heck is a mega team? So for us, we have a very specific definition. Our criteria for a mega team is 1, that there's 10 capping agents, 2, 40 million in gross sales volume, and 3, 175 transactions processed. For more about that, just go back and look at some of our older episodes from like the first few weeks, and it explains in more detail why that criteria. Why do we have those 3 things? It's very specific. We had a design. Now, there is an amazing leadership team who has taken on, quite honestly, what might be considered an impossible challenge. In fact, I know many teams have had brilliant people who have come together to build this and still didn't quite meet the numbers that we have. And we know that we might not meet these numbers, but we're committed to a bigger picture. And so we have to highlight the amazing people who have said, you know what? I'm literally going to go in front of people and be honest and transparent and make a fool of ourselves in the attempt to make our industry a little bit better. So first, we've got Chris Rains. He's the co-team leader. He's the designated lumberjack. I think this is the most lumberjack he has looked in all of our lives. And he's also the director of production. What'd you say, Chris?
That it was intentional, living up to the standard. That's all.
There we go. That's the way to live. Second, we have the amazing Catherine Polsinelli. She is the director of operations and Queen Fix-It. You guys you don't even know. You don't even know. She knows. Third, for I think the first time he's missed it, is we've got Walter Key, who is the director of coaching and time management, aka Mr. Hawaiian Vibin. For those of you who don't know what that means, literally go watch every other episode, just the first 10 seconds if you have to, and you will see why he is Mr. Hawaiian Vibin'. I think Chris is running away to sneeze because he's got serious allergy problems. Lisa says, Walter. Yeah, I don't even know. I'm like, Walter's usually the first one here aside from myself, so he's got to have something important. Fourth, we've got the awesome Irene Nunez. She is the director of transactions and self-appointed cupcake coordinator. I think, Irene, we really need to start living up to that, though. We got to like start implementing cupcakes more. You know, like how Sunny did the whole It's Always Sunny in Nashville, which is so amazing. Irene, we got to build your brand around the cupcakes. Lisa, Walter is the man. He is awesome. And you're right. Chris needs a battle axe on the wall behind his desk. That would be awesome. Maybe switch it out for the creepy dolls. That'd be awesome. The battle axe.
I hate the creepy dolls, but I'll just stand here and hold this during the meeting. Gotcha.
To everyone watching, we are not promoting violence. He's a lumberjack, okay? And so 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th are Carly Lane, Ash Murillo, Christian Santiago, Misa Sarmento, that honestly combined are basically a whole universe of work, and we would crumble without them. And there's even more people, right? There is the people at the brokerage, the people at W Income Coaching, other members of the Carbon Club, agents on the team who just contribute and grow. To anybody who thinks that it's a team leader, it's not. It is a whole tribe of people that make anything happen.
Especially wars.
Yes.
Especially wars, tribes and wars and battles.
Okay. All right. And and then there's also myself, Robert Bean, co-team leader, meta agent, and guy who tries to help everyone with everything. So leadership team, there's only 3 of you right now. So question for you, what's one way someone from the leadership team has helped, inspired, or encouraged you this week? Chris, why don't you start? We usually start with you anyway.
Irene.
If you're not ready.
No, I'm ready.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Oh, okay. I was like, Irene and Catherine both constantly taking care of the stuff in the back end that, let's be real, I'm the first person to tell you when things are over my head, out of my league, out of my repertoire, and they're always taking care of that stuff. So for those of you that don't know, I'm really good at rubbing elbows and selling houses and Facebook groups. And that's like the 3 things that I'm really good at. Other than that, the rest of everybody else is taking care of that stuff.
I love it. And I couldn't agree more. Guys, you just don't understand. And I wish there was a way to show you just how much Irene and Catherine keep putting in. And when you're building a team, the reward, I'm going to tell you, initially the reward's not there. You operate at a deficit. Yes, you can do the whole, but we got like, oh, it's so valuable to give. Listen, you can give and not have to run a team. Okay. The whole running the team is a level of an investment that is it just takes so much out of you. And Catherine and Irene keep showing up each day anyway. And it makes me emotional even to see, because it's just like, wow, talk about leading by example and doing amazing things. So I couldn't agree more, Chris. Catherine, how about for you?
For me, I'm gonna say all members of the team, Chris, Robert, and Irene, because Irene's been pushing, trying to get the transaction side corrected and the splits and everything with EXP. And then you guys have been really great about pushing forward with the brokers and pushing forward with the agents to make sure we're getting some things implemented and taken care of. So it's a little bit more seamless instead of all over the place. So I'm grateful that we are all able to work together collaboratively to get things done. So
that's awesome, and totally agree. For everybody who doesn't know, because you wouldn't, right? Chris and I decided to make everybody's lives more difficult by having such a unique team. And what that means is that we decided to keep as much money as possible in the pockets of the agents without sacrificing a high level of service for them and for their clients. Because usually you have to choose one or another. Okay, you want a really low split, you're on your own. Like, you're on your own in a way, almost like why you're even on a team type of deal. Or you want a lot of help. Okay, well, you're not going to make any money. And I'm not calling out all teams. I'm saying that if you break down the math, the percentage is often, after you factor in every other expense, you might make less than a third on your average commission check. Would you agree, Chris? You think I'm crazy, or you think that sounds pretty reasonable? Catherine, what do you think too? Would you agree? I'm asking you two because I know you two have spent a lot of time with teams. It's not an insult, but we wanted to see if there's a hybrid in there. Well, guess what? If that breaks the mold of the way everything continually runs and has been running, we have made EXP's life very difficult. Because they're like, well, hey, can we do this and then do this? And then can we just tweak this? And then we're over here to where they're like, I mean, yeah, we can do that. We just got to figure out how. and you know what? Shout out to the teams over at EXP, from corporate to local, state, and all that, who have been so accommodating. They've been, wouldn't you guys agree, so nice. They've never said no. They've always just said, let's figure it out together kind of thing. So couldn't agree more. Irene, you said you've got this week, huge shout out to Chris for pushing our agents and making them feel valuable. Chris is a great leader, and he does a wonderful job. I couldn't agree more, Irene. Some of the ways, guys, just so you know, that Chris made people feel valuable is he highlighted people who were putting in the work. He even took out one of the agents to, looked so good. Barbecue, dry rub ribs, right? Isn't that what you?
Dry rub ribs and dry rub chicken wings. Those things.
Oh man, that sounds so good.
Still jealous.
Yeah, right. It took him out and just celebrated this agent for all the work that they've done, and is constantly, he is constantly, especially this week, just trying to find ways to celebrate people. And you know what? On that note, Catherine, you and Irene have done a great job of that too. I've seen you commenting on people's calendars, on people's overall making a general announcement. Everybody, I think, has done just a great job of really trying to make others feel valuable. And I think at the end of the day, that's all we want, right? I mean, even when we make more money, well, what does more money make us feel like? Valuable. We help more people. Makes us feel valuable. We get praise. It makes us feel valuable. And that's all I think we really want. Well, that's awesome. I've agreed with all of your stuff, so I don't even know. I feel like I couldn't highlight anybody in particular, because it'd be everybody that just keeps coming in and crushing it. Walter doing extra little training tips. Chris did extra training tips. Agents on the team came in and did extra training tips and sharing. And Catherine and Irene just constantly working with us, trying to figure out. There's so much to figure out because we're doing it so differently. This would have been simple, guys, if we just ran a normal team. It really would have been. Hey, we're going to take 50 to 60% of everything, and that's it. Okay. But we are literally, we look at every number and we're like, can we accommodate someone and give them a little bit more? We don't even care if it's $1 or $5, because guess what? That adds up. And our goal isn't to think, how much can the team take? We have a way different mindset. It's how much can the team give and still be profitable, still be functional, still continue to grow and expand. So with that being said, I am just so thankful for all of you. Let's get into our focus topics today. We've got some really good ones, and I'm honestly really excited to chat with you guys today. So the first one is meetings. Let's talk about meetings. We have been doing about almost 2 months, right? I mean, technically week 8. So if you count it by 4-week increments, then 2 months of 2 live meetings a week. What I would love, and I'll start it so you guys know that you can be honest. I would love some honest feedback about how you think these meetings are going. And let me start. So again, so you know the tone I'm setting. I think there's a lot of redundancy between the two meetings. I think that what ends up happening is we had big goals for Monday and Friday's meetings, and we thought they would be wildly different, and they almost always end up being exactly the same. Monday, we go, okay, here's the things we talked about on Friday last week. Can we get those done this week? And then Friday, we're like, hey, here's the things we talked about on Monday. Shoot, we didn't get those done. Can we get those done? I see redundancy, and I'm not sure that I love our meetings, but I'm not sure that doing 2 live broadcasts is bringing the value that we said we wanted to bring. And I think condensing it into one meeting at the end of the week live might give us an opportunity to bring more condensed value to the public like we wanted versus kind of redundancy. And so that's my thoughts. Chris, what's your thoughts? Where are you at with that?
Definitely some redundancy. I think being able to highlight when I do the math, every Friday would equivalent to 52 live meetings a year. That's still a lot. And no matter how many live meetings we do, we're doing more live meetings than everybody else because nobody does any live meetings. So we're breaking the mold no matter what there. But the other thing is, Mondays, if we didn't do those live, it gives us a little bit of time to talk about those by name that did not opt into being talked to by name. It gives us that true freedom to talk a little bit more on a leadership side of things and dive in deeper and not have to hint around the bush a little bit as we talk
Totally
about
agree.
things. So
Yeah.
Don't want to put any agents in the negative spotlight. If they've agreed to positive spotlight, it's a different story. But there's positives and negatives with everything, including my own self. So
Right. Even for ourselves,
even
being
for
able
us,
to talk to each other without feeling like what do they say? What is it? Airing bad laundry, airing dirty laundry, airing dirty laundry. Yeah. Like,
so
yeah, I
I
think,
struggle.
yeah.
While I am a top producer, I still struggle every week with different things. A lot of that is time management and being so spread thin and saying yes to everybody. And
Walter just shuddered.
yeah, yeah, I know, right? I say yes to everybody because I'm trying to ramp up, and I know that I have certain things coming up that are going to change my life a little bit. So I feel like I've got to do as much as I possibly can before my kid gets here, and I'm tied up for 2 weeks, a month. I don't know how long that stuff looks like before I'm able to resume back to normal function. So
I love it. Catherine, what do you got?
Yeah, I definitely agree as well. And, Chris and I know it kind of touch base on it a little bit, but we do need that opportunity within the team to be able to touch base off air so that we can have a conversation about what's going on. Because I think what ends up happening is we either have to have another meeting, which to be honest, Chris is already spread thin. We're all already spread thin, right? And so that makes it harder. And then, of course, you don't want to talk about it on air because it's not that we're shunning the agents or trying to make them look in a bad way. We just need to discuss as a team where we need to go, right? Okay, this person is having this issue this week. These people are struggling with this, or this person is doing great on this. So that leadership as a whole is on the same page instead of, I know I reach out to everyone on leadership to kind of check in too and touch base with Irene on the transaction. So I tend to be the middle person to kind of spread information back out. And I don't mind doing that, but I think we need to come together as a whole to be able to have that conversation. So we're all on the same page instead of someone getting that phone call or that text and being like, oh, well, I wasn't aware of that. Right. So I definitely think it'll help with that tremendously.
I agree. Okay, Irene, what's your thoughts? I know you're typing, so I'm going to speak for Walter. I feel like I can pretty much know exactly what Walter would say, and I think Walter would say that he totally agrees that there's a redundancy there. He's super chill, and he's always willing to do whatever. We all know that about Walter. He's an amazing contributor. But I think he would agree. I think most of us. One of the cool things about our leadership team and why I think we can see that we work so well together is that on the core issues we tend to agree pretty unanimously about the progress and the vision that we're trying to ensure. We don't really have people who are like, well, it has to be my way. It's like, no, what's the best way? Or if we don't know what that is, let's try to figure it out together. So I think Walter would agree. Irene, are you You're typing? Okay, just got it. Just wanted to make sure you actually heard me. She said she is on board. She thinks it's a great idea, so we can improve every aspect of the team, including ourselves, so we are better for our agents. I love that humility. Couldn't agree more. Awesome. So I'm going to propose a vote then. I'm going to propose a vote, and you guys can just tell me. So my proposal is we keep Monday leadership meeting 7 a.m. Central, not live. It lets us really focus and hone in before we go out onto the court of the team meeting. Let us, you know what? It's almost like our locker room. Let's get prepped. Let's have a game plan. Let's go out there and show the agents that we are there to serve them and have a plan, and we know their needs, or we're going to listen to their needs. And then Friday leadership meeting, I'm proposing that will be live, and I'm proposing the openness of, do we want to adjust the time on Fridays as well? 7 a.m. We don't have a reason. Originally, right, we wanted to keep it consistent, so it was just easy to say Monday and Friday at this time. Well, 7 a.m. was dictated because team meeting was 8 a.m., so we needed to start at 7 a.m. Now that the team leadership meeting is live and it's at a different, it's not in sequence to the first meeting of the week, would you guys like to do 8 a.m., 9 a.m.? Do we want to do an afternoon one? I don't know. I feel like morning is probably usually better because we'll lose our days. But do we want to push it back an hour or 2 hours?
If we did anything, I would only suggest maybe 7:30, just for the simple fact that we have so much stuff to do. And I feel like Friday tends to be a little bit busier anyway, because you're preparing for showing homes for the weekend and everything else. And I think afternoons, especially, I know by me on Friday afternoon, I'm shot. By Friday afternoon, I've already had a full week. I've already had so many meetings. I've already done so many coaching calls that by Friday afternoon, I can't see straight. So probably wouldn't be the best is in regards to meeting then.
All right. So
you're muted, Chris.
Ha. I do like the 7:30 idea. Yeah, I think that's solid.
So Catherine and Chris are proposing 7:30. Irene's proposing 8. So she said she can be on the call. Like video? Like, is that what you're saying, Irene? Is that I'm gonna assume that's so that you can actually she wants to put her face out there.
It's there. It's right there.
Walter, I can almost guarantee you he'd just say, whatever you guys say. Yeah, whatever you want to do, I'm game. Okay. And then I don't make these decisions, and I don't let myself vote because I'm just here to facilitate everything for everybody. So I just get up and do whatever you guys need me to. So Irene, is 7:30 still not late enough for you to be able to get more involved? Because we would love to have you more involved. We would love to see if you could. Would 7:45 split the difference?
I know she's usually getting the little one up and ready for school.
What if we flipped a coin? Left it to the chance of fate.
Dun dun dun.
Okay, so let me ask you this: if it was 8, could people do it?
Yeah, I can.
Because we don't want to do something that we all, or some of us are like, I truly can't do that. So, and I'm really looking at you, Catherine, because I know you have a crazy schedule.
Yeah, and I'm looking ahead, so I think we're good. My earliest on Friday so far is 10. So.
Okay. All right. We can always adjust if we need to. But okay, of course, if we can nail it the first time, let's do it. So, do we want to just shoot for 8 then?
Axe it.
I'm gonna say yes. Then we all agree. We'll try out 8.
8's good with me.
Oh, Irene's
Irene says I'm out.
She said it's not 8, guys. It's 7:25. I'm out. I'll see you at 8. So, Catherine, for at least for now, you're willing to see if that can work for your schedule.
Yeah, and I looked a few weeks ahead, and I should be good. So
okay, I'll make sure to adjust that then. Facebook user says, "Make sure you get enough sleep, Robert Bean." These are my.
Hey, don't leave me out on that stuff. I want that stuff too.
Sleep stuff. Is that mom? That sounds like something.
Sounds like your mom.
Sounds like mom. It says Facebook user, so you must be commenting from a group though, and I feel like I don't think my moms are in any of the groups. So, wait, what? Oh, it's Lisa. Oh, I should have known. Lisa's so great. Good morning, Lisa. All right, I will adjust the Google Calendar to make sure that we can accommodate to 8. Oh, would you look at that? It's done. Okay, cool. All right, so we did that. Now let's move on to who has their reporting up, because we're going to start to do that on Fridays and test that out. Does anybody have those? Also, you're welcome, Irene. We want you to be able to get more involved, and we know, being a parent, 3 of us, and soon Chris will know the struggle of scheduling with kids and that life, and they definitely come first. Okay, so does anybody have the reports available as far as your individual department reports, even the test runs? Is a yes or no? Don't even worry if you don't. I just don't want to call on you.
That is a no for me. I was going to try to get it done yesterday, and my day was freaking wrecked.
It's all right. It's all right. We're still adjusting.
And then I get home, and my wife wants me to watch these pregnancy videos to try to figure out all this stuff too. And I'm like trying to help somebody else with documentation, and I'm trying to do all this stuff. And then by the time it was like 9 something, 10 o'clock, I don't know. And I'm like, I'm just going to go to bed and be honest in the morning that I did not get like stuff done yesterday.
Now that we do it at 8 a.m.,
I can do it in the morning.
Yeah, maybe that'll leave you guys an extra hour to where you can do it right before the meeting. Then it'll be fresh in your mind.
Yeah. That would help.
Does anybody else? And it's okay if you don't. We haven't really enforced this yet as a standard for all of us yet, because we still have been trying to figure out a lot of other stuff, even what to report. But if anybody has it, I'd love to hear it, right? If you have anything to share, if you have anything that you want to go over as far as basically all of that. Anybody? It's okay. You can say no. I just want to make sure I'm not skipping over someone if they do have anything they want to share from reports or things like that.
Mine more on the back end, so I don't have a ton to share unless we had something going on with agents and stuff, and it's been pretty productive this week. So
Irene says closing for me. Yeah, thank you. I still do some stuff here and there. So I'm going to just move past the reporting then. So a couple questions then that I've been thinking about asking to try and improve. And this is for those who are listening. I've been reading Scrum, which Scrum is a way that you approach getting tasks done. It's what revolutionized the FBI, which was literally like the most inefficient, I mean, most of us know this already, an inefficient process, but it's a lot of changes, and some of the basic questions that they ask are as simple as, what have you done since our last meeting? how did you do those things? What was your process? How did you do those things? What got in your way and slowed down? And what do you feel is best for you to focus on for the team next week? Versus someone who doesn't do your role coming in and telling you what you need to do. Shouldn't you know better? Quite honestly, right? If you know what your goal is of your department, Chris, production, then shouldn't you know better than Catherine what you should be doing with your time to ensure production? And I think what happens is we've all been conditioned from this top-down kind of waterfall approach of one person being omnipotent and being like, I know what's best for everybody and how they should do everything. But realistically, that's just impossible. And so what I thought we could do real quick, we don't have to make it long, is just go to each person here. And again, I'm open, help me out, but I figured these might be some good questions to ask, is go to you and ask these questions, and then you just give some honest feedback. So Chris, I'm going to start with you, my man. So what are some things that you have done and have been focusing on in this last week, since Monday to Friday, right? Since our last leadership meeting?
So I've really been trying to connect with the agents and talk to them about the number of leads that they're talking to, talk to them about their processes, talk to them about using social media, but using it in the best way. One of the things that a lot of them are doing is creating content, and they're creating content hoping that leads will reach out to them and raise their hand looking to buy and sell real estate. And we already have tons of people raising their hand looking to buy and sell real estate. So I'm having to have that realistic conversation with them of, hey, you're doing all this stuff to get somebody to raise their hand. And we already have hundreds, if not actually thousands of hands being raised that need to be addressed, alongside of creating some content for your own sphere and for different people to reach out. But anytime that you have somebody raising their hand, it's going to be a lot easier than to try to beg somebody to work with you whenever people are literally raising their hands, giving you their info, saying, hey, please call me, please reach out. So I've been really trying to push harder on that side of things, because several of the agents were scared. They're scared to make calls. They're okay with messaging, they're texting or emailing even, but they're scared to make the phone calls. They're scared to pick up the phone and just talk to people. Yeah. But even one of our agents last night, who's been killing it on messaging people and texting people and that kind of stuff, he basically said, hey, I'm finally picking up the phone, and it was easier than I thought it was going to be. I don't know if you guys saw that video that he sent to the group, but that kind of stuff is what gets me pumped. But if I had not sat down and had those conversations more than once and kept pushing and like, look, it is that they want to talk to you. These people want help. Mm-hmm. My leads are not trash leads. It's not cold calling. They're raising their hand. They're giving their information, saying, please call me. I'd like to buy a house. I'd like to move to Tennessee. These are not your typical phone list of, hey, here's some numbers and some names that live in this area. Give them a call. Yeah, it's not like that at all. These people are looking for help. So, with that said, pushing that side of things is what I've really been having to work on. But
I love it.
Surprising to me how much I have to do that one-on-one instead of giving a blanket for everybody. I have to make it relatable, and I have to call them and make it relatable to each person and figure out how to navigate that conversation specifically for them.
I love it. And I think something, that's a great takeaway is that their personal profile is to nurture the leads that are already raising their hands versus trying to immediately say, okay, I made this post. Where's my next lead? No, you got the leads. Use your social media to nurture those leads. And the thing that's really important to remember is that I remember being on a team, and I was trying to figure out, because there might be different splits and different way that they do things. But the reality is that we charge what we charge. And if it's a team lead or not, from the Facebook group, as long as someone isn't going in and getting them pre-approved for them and going in and setting appointments for them and spending time and money for them, they're not getting charged an additional split. And in this instance, the path of least resistance would be go work those leads, go nurture those leads through the social media you're already doing, stay top of mind, but go build a relationship. So yeah, that's awesome. So Chris,
I call that sphere creation, because everybody says, oh, I get all this stuff from my sphere. Every top agent that sells a ton of homes that gets stuff from their sphere created it in the beginning. There's no way they didn't. You don't just walk into real estate and start selling to all your friends and family and start selling 100 homes a year. And you definitely don't do that off referrals.
Yep.
They all started by building up. They built their network, whether that email list, social media, Facebook, whatever. They've built it up at some point from scratch. And then they've been in the industry so long that they forget about that building up side. So they just tell you, oh, I work off referral. Oh, I work off phone calls. The people call me all the time. Well, yeah, you do now, but that's not how you built it.
And that's not how you'll keep it.
Yeah.
Things are changing. And there's a lot of agents out there that I know who are like, I have a strong referral business. And I said, really? Because 3 of your clients just came to me. There's this idea that you close a deal and therefore they're loyal to you for the rest of your life. But that doesn't make sense. That agent isn't loyal to anybody else for the rest of their life. They'll pick the best insurance provider that they feel is best for them. They'll shop at the stores that they feel is best for them. They don't care how long they've been shopping at another store. If there's a sale, they're going. There's the better product, they're going, because that's actually really smart. And I think we've all seen this, is that there's almost this kind of ego around, oh, I closed the deal with you, therefore you're mine. And you don't even have to try anymore. You don't even have to nurture them anymore. It's like, that's the exact opposite. They just funded you to then have the ability to serve them long term. They just gave that opportunity to you. So that's awesome. So Chris, what you already talked a little bit, but what are some of how did you do those things? You said one-on-one. Was those Zoom meetings, in-person meetings, a mix of both?
Calls.
What?
Yeah, a lot of phone calls.
He said alcohol. I was like, whoa.
Phone calls.
Whoa.
I'll just call them, because end of the day, one of the things we found is communicating with the agents. Why we do want it. We'd love it to be on Slack. We'd love it to be whatever. If you call them, they'll answer the phone.
Personal connection, totally.
Yeah. So I just call them. And I mean, there's several agents where I end up talking to them for 45 minutes or an hour, and they need it though. So I just do it, but it does add up on the time of spending with everybody. Like, we've got several agents on the team. I'm even calling agents in our sphere and downline, and I'll call them, and now I'm checking in with them and trying to follow up and trying to help them get their life straight, because a lot of them end up scattered. So even if they're time blocking, a lot of times the time blocking that they do doesn't get held up. They don't hold themselves to the talking to the lead standard. They'll do it for a couple minutes, and then somebody calls, like myself or whatever, and they take it, and then they don't follow up with any more of that. It's gone. That hour's gone, and then they move on to whatever else they were going to do that day.
Totally agree. All right. So what got in your way and slowed you down? What were the obstacles that you were facing that made it hard for you to maximize what you're trying to accomplish?
Yesterday, the West Warren Viola Utility District requires that you go in person to turn on water. So I had to drive out to the middle of nowhere in Morrison after lunch with Enduro yesterday. It was like an hour and a half to drive out there to go get them to turn water on at the flip that I've got. And then from there, I drove all through back roads to get up to Woodbury to do a showing. And then I got back in town. And during all that time, I was taking a bunch of calls and doing all kinds of stuff. But that was an extra thing yesterday that I thought that I could just call them and turn the water on and pay them. But they're like, oh, yeah, you got to come down here. And we don't take credit cards. It's got to be cash or check. I'm like, yeah, they're that far behind in this world. So it's pretty much, if I wanted my cleaners to be able to get in there and start getting the house cleaned up this weekend I needed water. So I had to go do it. And it had to be me because they checked my ID and proof of ownership. So I had to take my settlement statement and everything else with me. And then, yeah, it was a whole ordeal.
That's a whole mess right there.
That's what really helped throw a wrench in my day yesterday.
All right. How about some things that maybe the team could help you work on?
What could the team help me work on?
Like, what are some obstacles that you faced? That 45-minute phone calls, that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. There's nothing wrong with that. But are there some areas where you're like, okay, if I had 15 or 20-minute phone calls, or if I had help in this area, I'd have more time?
15 and 20-minute phone calls would be great, but when you have newer agents, 15 and 20 minutes
isn't enough.
It's not enough. It's not
Those
enough.
are some things that,
and then they're like, "Hey, I've got you. I've got these questions." And if you don't answer their questions, they just won't do whatever it is that they have questions about until the next time you talk to them.
So if you have these questions coming in, what are some things that maybe could be alleviated to where you can have the time to do these things, to where it's not taking away from other priorities, whether that's, like Catherine just mentioned, scheduling out some coaching calls week to week, which can be great, or maybe it's some other aspects. What are some ways that we can help you?
With that said, Catherine's already offered up some coaching calls, and she's had one agent take her up on that. So
so it sounds like maybe delegating.
There's not just that, it's the agents being willing to do it or realizing or finding the value in that. So from my side, I basically forced a phone call on them. From Catherine's side, she's saying, raise your hand, who wants coaching? And the difference in me forcing that phone call on them in order to help them, because let's be real, they need help. And there's not a single one of these agents that's going to get off a phone call with me and say it wasn't valuable. They always, thank me for whatever information I've given them. That's the reason it takes so long, is because I sit there and just really pour in and help. But
so perhaps one thing that could be done,
don't know what they don't know,
of course,
that they need. They don't know. So whenever they're given an opportunity to raise their hand to get involved with something, they don't know that they need to do that. So they're not going to raise their hand, or they're scared because Catherine's scary. I don't know. So
it's okay. I get that one a lot. It's fine.
Just kidding with you. They're scared to talk to anybody. And if you're scared to talk to me, good gosh. Like I can't be that scary. Pretty laid back. I'm motivating, but still laid back.
And I feel like that's one of the biggest hurdles for
like lay down the axe or something. I don't know.
That's a big hurdle for a lot of agents, especially people that have never done sales, is getting comfortable with being uncomfortable so that they can grow.
The hairy beard. I've got a hairy beard that's scary. I'm not shaving that. I look like I'm like younger than Robert. Like Robert looks like 12. I look like I'm 11.
So Chris, let me ask you this. What do you feel is best for you to focus on next week for the team? What do you think is, you director of production, what do you think is best for you to focus on next week?
Helping the agents get their social media right and making sure they're following up with leads and talking to new people. I mean, there's nothing else that's going to convert faster than them talking to more people, because they're not having enough conversations.
Yes, Catherine.
Suggestion. We're talking about leverage. I know that your wife and Robert's wife is really big into social media. Is there a possibility that maybe one or both of them would be willing to do a small group 1-hour session where agents are on their computers and they're walking them through getting some stuff set up on their social media? That would take it off of you.
My wife is due in less than a month. I can't promise what she will or won't do.
So can you be more specific, Catherine?
So Chris is talking about agents need to get their social media and stuff set up. In my personal opinion, some of that, right, is just making sure your business page has the correct information on it, right? Making sure that you have your stuff set up on it. Do you have content that you know you can go out and schedule later, right? That might be a leverage tool since we have two amazing women that both work on, I mean, Robert, I know that Stephanie does a lot of, your outlays and stuff like that. But if we could leverage to them to go over that with agents, maybe in a small group. So instead of all 9 of them at once, we do like 4 one day and 5 another, right? And those agents would kind of like when we were walking them through transaction desk, I made them get on their actual transaction desk in the live training, which is how I do all of my trainings, even when I worked in agent services. I made them have their laptop in front of them and do it while I was teaching them. Then it's getting done. And as we run into issues and have questions, they get answered versus sitting there taking notes, possibly taking notes, right? And then later, like, oh, I don't remember what you said. So making them do it right then and there and doing a small group focus. And that would take that off you, Chris, so you can focus more on the coaching and production side with the agents. If we're just looking at getting them set up, I understand they're going to have questions and stuff on social media as we go through, but
there's more stuff about posting other people's listings in order to generate business and putting that stuff out there. There are things like that I talk about as well.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen some of them. There's a handful of agents that are starting to post some of that stuff. I'm trying to help them get motivated.
Mm-hmm.
I've made even just the video content that I made where I'm like, look, here's all the video footage of a new construction townhouse. Here's something that you can list. And I'm like, hop on TikTok or Instagram Reels and make this video. Well, a couple of them did.
Irene's raising her hand too.
Yeah, I was waiting for her to type. I figured she'd just type. Oh, you're going to talk? Whoa.
Well, I figured I just made it back home, so that's why the 8 o'clock works good, because I just walked back in the door, so it works perfect. As far as the agents, like their Facebook pages, I could do that with them as far as setting them up. I helped another agent at KW set his Facebook page up. As far as marketing and things like that, I mean, I love social media. Don't get me wrong, I'm on it a lot, but I don't do like the TikTok and things like that. So probably not as much help there, even though I ran campaigns.
There, Irene. You need to have that stuff. That stuff's important.
I ran campaigns through the command at KW, so I know how to do the marketing. But as far as like putting my face in there, I don't usually do that. But as far as setting up and like helping them put up marketing, I could do that, and I could hop on a call with them and make sure that their Facebook pages are set up correctly and things along those lines. So it's a little bit less on even just involving the wives. I'm already on the team, so I can help some.
So I love your willingness to help. So I'd love to, I think we've got a solution here. I think the solution would be to have a process down and have Misa know the process front and back, have a SOP created for her. And then what she can do is have availability every week that all of us do not have. And we're going to have less and less time to do stuff like this. So instead of getting the agents used to coming to a transaction coordinator and the head of transactions to talk about social media, let's have them get used to going to Misa and knowing that Misa is there, aka anybody, right? Whether it's Misa or not. I'm just using her as a great example because I know she's willing and she's hardworking. And then that way she can have the availability to sit down with the agents, like Catherine said, do it live. We know that doing it live helps get it done. Do it live and walk them through the process. Eventually, Catherine, we want this to be part of the onboarding process. We both know it's always a work in progress, but eventually that's supposed to be part of the onboarding process where the VA will come in and literally part of their onboarding as they're getting used to it is they go in and we help them change all their social medias. That's why we're creating the email signature templates and all of those things. And eventually figuring out how to weave this all together towards just an easy, like today, here's the simple tasks you're doing. And then tomorrow, here's the next ones. So I think if we turned around and made sure we had an efficient process, and then Misa was the one who took leadership over that, then I think that would alleviate our burden, not add additional time. And thank you, Irene and Catherine and Chris, everybody willing to help until we get this set up. So I think maybe that could be a big focus for us, is going in and creating the process. So who would want to help create that process with Misa? It would probably be as simple as doing a Zoom call with her once, showing her what you want done, right? Literally just saying, here's what we want.
I'm happy to be involved in that. I think having a couple different agents that do it and are prominent on social media would be beneficial.
Because then they can also help each other. Once they know the process, once Misa is there and helping them, then they start to help each other because we've empowered them, right? We've given them more tools. Okay, cool. So let's see about getting, who would like to be on that call with Misa and help with the process? Chris? And then Irene, do you want to be on that call, or Catherine, or either of you guys? You can say no. I just don't want to assume that you don't want to be part of that process. Like for me, I honestly, I need that same thing too. Honestly, like
I'm more than welcome to, or more than happy to help, but I think I'll be better on the process side and getting it than setting up social media and all that.
Okay, so Chris, we'll have you, and what I think I'll do is I'll get Carly as well, because she helps us so much of the back end social media stuff and works with the VAs. So let's get Chris Rans, Carly, Lane, and Misa. Then after that call, have Catherine create the process. How's that sound? Does that sound pretty good for that? Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna.
I think, but Catherine's not going to be on the call.
No.
I'll hop on the call.
Oh,
I'll hop on the call because I
you
can.
just mean as far as direction for it.
Yeah.
You're gonna focus. Okay.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm like, how's she going to make something if she's not on the call? I don't know. Then maybe she's going to go back and watch the video, but that didn't make sense to me.
All right, Chris, can you throw together a group chat with yourself, Carly, Misa, and Catherine, so you guys can work out a time to whatever works for your schedule, and we'll knock that out.
And Irene, if you want to attend, raise your hand or throw a smiley face in the chat.
Anything. Cupcake.
So
We need to do
Carly,
that.
Catherine, Misa, myself.
You,
Irene.
Carly, Misa, Catherine.
Irene, are you hopping in on that, or are you?
She's raising her thumb. I think that's yes.
She totally said anything. So thumbs
Yeah,
out.
no, that's what I said. I think that's a yes. Yeah, I think that's a
I
yes.
should have known she was going to be difficult.
Yeah. You should have known.
Spontaneous is the better word.
Okay.
There might be cupcakes there, so we'll see.
Okay, cool.
Oh
So
my
let's
God,
get
yes.
that knocked out. I think that'll alleviate a lot of burden off of all of us, and also utilizing Misa, who is here every day. Like, just reach out to me if you need help, and I'll get it done. And that way, because we've all talked about this, we all believe in social media. We all believe in brands and helping the agents have a brand. Their brand isn't a billboard. That is not. That's an advertisement, but it doesn't really build a brand. A lot of things don't build brands. Just because it's an ad, just because it's a billboard, does not mean that your brand is growing. But active social media with relevant content to their audience, having a clean profile. When I say clean, it just first of all, it still says the correct brokerage. It says that you're a realtor. It says things. I can't tell you how many times I go to someone's profile and I'm like, "Are you sure you're a real estate agent? Are you sure?"
All the time.
Because your personal profile, whether you like it or not, it is your business card. It is your portfolio. If you have anybody that you know who is in your sphere, they will look at your personal profile and they will judge you off of that personal profile. Does it exemplify what you want people to know you as? I want people to know that I'm a real estate agent, but more importantly, I want them to know that I'm a team leader, that I'm an educator, that I'm a giver, that I'm a father. And so the hope is, hey, look, it's Irene.
Oh my gosh, where's that thumb?
D-
There it is.
See, I told you, I was coming.
Sweet. Okay. Well, I don't think we're going to have time to get to everybody else unless you guys want to stay on. I think these questions honestly just opened up a whole bunch of great things for us. And that was what I was hoping would happen, was just asking some more powerful questions. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. We've got 5 minutes left. We can either now go to Catherine and ask some similar questions and dive into it like we are with this, where we had some great things that came up from it, and then go to Irene. Or if you guys want, we can just leave it and try and, I don't even know, but I don't want to be that guy who says stay on later, if that makes sense. What do you guys think? I mean,
Irene's just now ready to go for the first time since 7 a.m. So.
Oh, you're saying because I joined? I'm for that.
Yeah, you just now ready to go. So, I mean, it's like starting fresh for her. So.
Yeah, I'm ready. Like.
So what do you think, Catherine?
I'm fine. I think if anything, we could at least split it in half. So whether we at least go through the questions with me or go through the questions with Irene, and then maybe next Friday, the rest of leadership. So you at least get 2 or 3 out of the way. Cause I know we'll have Walt next time too.
It almost worked out that he wasn't here. We love you, Walter. Well then, Catherine, let's go to you. So what are some things that you've been working on since our last meeting? Let's do a late episode today. I love this. I think great things are already happening.
I think the biggest things that I've been working on is taking a look at the team as a whole, and kind of listing out some items that I think maybe need some changing or better foundation or something we can build upon. So such as making sure that our roles aren't overflowing onto each other and we're each being helpful in different areas versus overlapping, and that's one of the reasons why Monday morning meetings will help as well, because we can be like, okay, no, this is not your job, so we're going to push it back on this person, right? Because that's a huge thing that I see among a lot of the teams that I've talked with and worked with is everyone has a role, but then everybody's like, oh, but I want to help. And then you have this person that's not their role stepping in and saying, oh, but I can help. But this person that's doing the role is like, no, it needs to be me, right? And it makes it confusing for the agents as well.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of the biggest thing that I've been doing this week is kind of taking a step back and looking at everything as a whole to see where we can improve and what needs to be changed in order for us to keep moving toward mega team versus collapsing it before we make it to the 6-month mark. Yeah,
love it. That's awesome. So how did you do those things? What was your process? What was the method that how are you going about looking at those things that you've been working on?
I've been trying to talk with a couple of people in the team. I've been watching the agents to see how they respond or how much they're posting, like especially on Slack, since we were trying to use that as our main channel. I've talked with Irene individually regarding some of the stuff that she's doing and what she's noticing since she's more on the back end. I reached out to Chris to see kind of what he's doing, what he's noticing on his end, so that I could kind of look at what was needed from that side. I've also been paying attention to our meetings and the types of trainings that we've been doing and where we can amplify that, because I've watched the agents when we have our team meeting on Monday and how they respond and how they interact, and then how they interact throughout the week to see where their scarcity mindsets are, where we can maybe plug in a little bit better to get them to come forward a little bit more. Like Chris was saying, it's hard to get them to reach out to us or to talk to anyone. So that's been the whole thing. I basically get to watch people and take people apart. That's my thing. So
when you said talking to agents and leadership, has this mainly just been messaging? Have you had some one-on-ones? What have we been using?
I've had a few one-on-ones. A lot of, especially the agents and stuff, have been through text and things like that. Normally they're busy, right? So I'm just checking in, especially seeing how they're messaging, and interacting on Slack as well. But I know that I've had a phone call specifically with Irene and Chris recently. So.
Awesome. I love this. I think these questions have been, super awesome. Okay. So what got in your way? What slowed you down?
Not being able to have a team meeting where we could all kind of collaborate
Yeah,
and talk
an
off
off the
air,
record meeting.
so I could bring some things to the table. It was actually on my to-do list, but since we're going to be having Monday offline, I'll bring up some of those concerns and
This is
some of those concerns on Monday.
what she's trying to do.
Asking all them questions.
Facts, everything.
I love it. That makes a lot of sense. Good news is, hopefully, we have now alleviated that right up front, because I definitely agree. I definitely agree. So that's awesome. Anything else get in your way and slow you down, or was that really the big one? Was just not being able to get right down to the details, the true raw facts of here's what we need to talk about that isn't appropriate, good or bad. It's still not always appropriate for the public space. We all know this. Like, there are things you go public about, and that's why we're learning. Like, that's why we tried, and that's why we're adjusting. That's the whole point. So
Yeah,
was there
that's-
anything else though that you felt really slowed you down, or was a hindrance?
No, to be honest, me being so busy and trying to find time to make phone calls to individuals to kind of get some information. So then that's one of the reasons why I was looking at trying to have a Zoom call. But now that we're going to be discussing stuff on Monday, that helps me out tremendously. So
Awesome. What do you feel is best for you to focus on for the team next week?
Next week, I think the biggest thing is going to be bringing some things to light and figuring out what can be changed, and then what I need to head up and work on to put some procedures or processes in place so that we can better help the agents get them out of their comfort zone to push them forward, because we all know if you stay in your comfort zone, you're never going to grow.
So addressing areas needed for change, implementing processes and changes to help encourage agents to leave comfort zones and basically achieve their goals, right? Because that's what this is all about. We didn't set the goals for them. I always thought it was funny when like a team leader would try to be like, here's your goal. And I'm like, no, that's not my goal. Like, I can't, Catherine, I was very outspoken about this. And people be like, this is our goal. And I said, no, that's your goal. I never once said that was my goal. It was never going to be my goal. I'm not here to make you rich. I'm not here to meet your goals. I'm here to meet my goals. You're supposed to be helping me. And so I like, I love that about our team. And I love that about each and every one of you guys, is that, and for anybody listening, go listen to some of our past videos. And what you'll hear from this amazing leadership team is that they're not always talking about themselves and what they want for others. They're always talking about how they can improve themselves and how much they want to help others achieve their goals. That's so rare. It makes me emotional. That's just so rare, and it's just wonderful qualities. And I really appreciate that about all of you. Whether they know it or not, everybody who comes into your guys' lives is very fortunate to have great people like you. Awesome. So those are some solid things. Anything else to add, Catherine?
I don't really think so. I know Chris is trying really hard to push the agents. And that's something that I brought up to him earlier this week too, is I truly do believe, especially when you're dealing with new agents, it is imperative that they have at least one call a week to touch base and see where they're at, whether it's considered coaching or just check in or whatever the case may be. For those that are not comfortable yet reaching out, we're trying to get them to that point. So that's a huge thing. Otherwise, you'll have people that wait to the very last minute, right? And then come and say, well, this just isn't working for me. And then when you ask, they're like, well, is this, and this? And then you find out, well, you never actually reached out and asked. But by that, it's too late, right? They've already made up their minds. So
Yep. So when
you
you say having one call a week, do you think that needs to be a particular person for everyone? Do you think it's a rotating thing? Like, all right, Chris is going to talk to these 3 people this week, and then these 3 different people next week. And then in conjunction, Catherine, you or Walter, right? We have Walter to leverage, or like, who should be doing these calls, do you think, for these check-ins?
Personally, I think as of right now it needs to be, and I talked to Chris about that too, maybe bringing Walton as well and splitting it. And then maybe whoever Chris talks to this week, then Walt talks to next week. So they're getting two different types of perspectives. But I have a feeling that unfortunately a lot of it's going to fall back on Chris in the beginning, because a lot of it is production. What forms do I use? How do I even fill this one out? How do I get this person to want to put an offer in? It's going to be a lot around that. And since that's what his main focus is production, we need to make sure that all agents are being pushed back to Chris when it comes to writing contracts and anything like that. So they know they have one person that can ultimately tell them, yeah, you should do this, or no, you shouldn't. But if we had Walt and we were separating that, then if Walt ran into that, right, he could just reach out to Chris and say, hey, by the way, this agent was asking me some stuff on this. You might want to touch base with him. But I do think it is imperative that agents are touched base with at least once a week for a 30 minute to an hour call, just to say, okay, so how are we doing? Are we doing this? What are you doing for lead gen? It's also a way to hold them accountable as well. And unfortunately, that's going to have to come from leadership only. They're not at a point where they can use each other to hold accountable, because they don't even know how to hold themselves accountable.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense. So one of the things I'm hearing is making sure leadership is leading people to the correct leaders.
I think in order for the members to help lead themselves some, I think what our shining star has been doing with sharing his personal experiences through video, I think that's probably the best method to get that across the board to everyone, rather than people having to opt in. I think having them take a little video like that, I think is probably the best method. And they can kind of do it at their leisurely pace. It's not a structured meeting that they're having to attend, but rather they can watch the video whenever they get a chance. I see a lot of value in the videos being posted in there when they are.
Even for me, I listen to them and I'm like, man, I'm motivated. I'm inspired. I think what I'll do is I'll check with, you guys know I have a really great real estate coach. I'll check with him too about like, when is there a marker or milestone of when you implement the self-organized accountability groups, because all the high level teams do this. But my question is, when do you do that?
I think that's
way down the road.
I think it's down the road.
Our agents are too new and don't have their own processes set up. Yeah. They may enjoy helping other agents and they may be good at giving them some advice, but what you're going to do is run into an issue of trying to be helpful and give the wrong advice is what you're going to run into. Or they're going to focus more on, oh, well, I like helping people. Well, where did your lead gen go?
Yep.
Well, I moved it because, this person needed me, right? So
One thing I talked to him previously about was a little bit kind of what we're talking about right now. And he said sometimes it's someone in leadership who starts it and sets the example, because to say to a new agent to assume that a new agent doesn't want to grow and be more accountable takes away the option to where they might want to voluntarily say, listen, I know I'm struggling and I do want someone who's going to help me be more accountable. Maybe they're not ready to hold others accountable, but maybe they do want a higher level accountability because there are people on the team who are at different levels. There are some who are like, leave me alone. Truly, I'm just trying to figure things out. Please don't do any more than what we're doing right now. And then there are some who are like, I am not where I want to be and I want to be there. Tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. And so what I'll do is I'll talk to him and see, because I think he said when he first started doing it, he had to run it once or twice just to have the option on the table, to show agents what it looks like, to show them that it's about them, right? Leading by example, basically. So we can definitely look into that. Anything else to add, Catherine? As far as what you got going on? I mean, you said a bunch of amazing things, and it just pumped me up.
No, I think that's the biggest thing. And I think once we have our meeting on Monday where we can kind of sit and collaborate, that's going to help tremendously as well, regarding which directions we can go and where we can start putting some processes in order so that
Super
we can
excited.
then announce it to the agents as well and give them a little bit more of a steady foundation of, hey, this is where you should go for this and be expecting this from this person. So, because again, to me, it goes back to our own standards. We can tell the agents that they don't have to necessarily do anything, but we still have to have standards from the team, and they have to expect that of us. Otherwise, you're not running a team, you're just running a group.
Yep, completely agree. And it's that fine line of not mandatory, but expected to, right? It's a standard. There is still a standard. And how we gauge, you know, I think we've all seen that the moment that we dropped the mandatory, people's true colors came out. A lot of people who said they were committed all of a sudden weren't as committed. And it's not saying it's wrong, but it is giving us an opportunity to get a real look at who is committed, who's willing to put in the time. Even, you know, I think what we're going to see is as we start to help people go to the right people for problems, I think we're going to start to see who's willing to do that. Mm-hmm. There will be, one thing I've learned from running teams before is that there will be people who refuse to adapt and grow. They will say, no, I like this person, therefore I'm going to go to them, even though that is not their responsibility. And while that may be, I get it. You like that person. We all have favorite people that we connect with and we're more emotionally attached to, but that is not how you grow. You don't go. You have to go to the right people, not necessarily the people you like the most, but the right people. And if they don't trust that we have the right people, that going to Catherine for operations and processes, that going to Irene for transactions, that going to Chris for production is the right choice, is the best choice, then we have a really big issue, because that means that they don't trust us. That means that they don't trust the process. And that means that it may not be a good fit for them. Because the more that we let agents essentially decide who's best for them without them even knowing, because they haven't even followed or even tried the process, we're actually limiting them and their potential. We're saying, you know what, you're right. Just stay right in your comfort zone. It's fine. We tell them, go call a stranger, basically, right? Go call a stranger. Go reach out to someone who wants to talk to you. Well, I'll tell you what, Irene wants to talk to you about transactions, right, Irene?
I mean, I just want to talk to somebody in general.
Okay, listen, no, we ain't doing that. No, I'm just kidding. Catherine, you want to talk to agents about processes and systems, right?
Yep.
Of course. Mm-hmm. So these are people who want to help them. And yet we're keeping them inside their bubble. And so Chris, you know, especially with how kind and generous you are, this is one of the things I think is going to help alleviate your burden and your time, is you're saying someone's calling you, and it's not always about production. Now that doesn't mean you just turn and say, oh, sorry, hang up. But it does mean, hey, I'm listening to you. I'm hearing and acknowledging your issue. And here's the solution. You're going to go talk to Catherine. And Catherine is going to help you with the processes. You're going to go talk to, and reaffirming and reassuring them that you heard them, that you digested and you actually listened to them. Because we all know, Catherine, you and I, again, and we have shared so many similar stories. We know what it's like where someone didn't listen to our problem and then handed it us off. And we said, you sent us to someone and it's not even relevant to what I told you. That person doesn't deal with that stuff. So I think this is really exciting. So let's get to Irene now. What have you done since our last meeting on Monday? What have you been working on? What have you done?
So I've been working on figuring out agents' communication, which is the best way that fits them to get what I need from them. And also to get what I need from their clients as well. Because sometimes email doesn't work for clients either. I mean, before real estate, I don't think I ever checked my emails. So some clients could be like that as well. So for me, communication has been a big thing this week, figuring out how to get to them so that I can get things done efficiently. I can meet time slots that we have for SkySlope and that they get paid on time. That's the most important thing. So that's been a big thing for me, one. And then the other one has been getting documents organized in Dollop. That's been a big one this week as well, because a lot of agents will put it in and it's not the most organized. I get it. I've been there. But for me, I like everything organized and everything completed so that I can see every bit of that transaction without having to search for it.
Mm-hmm.
So those have been two big things for me this week that I've done.
I love it. I think something cool would be making notes inside the agent and client profiles for their preferred communication style, and even using a tag on them so that we know, because you might know before we do what a client's preferred communication style is. You might even know more than the agent because you're trying to get results in a way, and just because the agent got them under contract doesn't mean that they actually know their preferred.
That's still an agent's responsibility. I'm gonna step in with that real quick. She may
That-
know, but that's not her responsibility to tell the agent.
I'm getting ready to step in here too. So
I love what you're going with, but we still have to keep her on the back end. If you're not communicating with your agent or your client and you don't know how your client likes to communicate, you're failing as an agent and you need to step it up. That's not our job to be like, hey, I've talked to him several times, and they're like, oh my gosh, well, how did you get in touch with them? Yes, she can tell them that, but that's still your job because they're your client. You should know who your people are, what their personality is, and how to communicate with them. And if you don't know those three things, you're not doing your job as an agent. And while it's great that Irene knows that, it's not her responsibility. And she is getting paid enough on that deal to be taking care of that.
Totally agree.
I think as we do this process, one thing I've found that works really, really well, and Irene's already been finding that the agents respond better to text than they do Slack and they do email and everything else. I've found that my clients usually respond better to text as well. Anytime I have two buyers, let's say I have a husband and wife, and we're doing a house search, I put the husband and wife in a group text with me in order to communicate with both of them. That does a couple different, keeps me from repeating myself. It keeps them married because they're not mad at each other for not communicating. Me from playing favorites because I'm talking to whichever wants to communicate with me more. I'm still presenting everything to the people at the same time. So if at the time of going under contract, if it's needed, then they could literally add in Irene with a group text, say, hey guys, this is my TC. These are my clients. Irene's going to be helping as we finalize this contract. And this is a great group chat where we can all text together and keep everyone informed and up to date. If there's any emails that are sent for signing, she'll also send a text here to this group chat to where everyone will know that the email was sent.
That would be great.
And that is one thing that I have told Irene to be very careful of, is whether it's communication with the agents or whether it's communication with their clients, to let them know, like, hey, I got something for you to sign is one thing. But if it is communication for breaking something down or needing more information or telling, it needs to be done via email for the simple fact to protect her, right? I understand that text we can prove as well, but if we're going through a process and saying, hey, there's this, this, and this, please make sure this is taken care of. I told her to try and resort back to email as much as possible, because those you can take and put in a folder, right? And it's always there on Google. Text messages can get lost, phones can delete things. I'm very big on protecting our agents and protecting our transaction coordinator, because it protects the team on what was done in case you ever run into that interesting client that wants to put the blame back on everyone else. So
yeah, usually for me, I'm like, hey guys, just sent the documents over. Please read over them. Let me know if you have any questions, and something.
Yes, sending being involved in a text though, where I could be in a group and I'm like, hey, just sent y'all this doc to sign. If you need to go over it, make sure you reach out to in the agent's name, so that I'm not involved in going over that, but they then have a notice that, hey, I did send it, so sign it, please.
And then you can use a note. You can use a notes app to where you have like a little blurb where you don't have to type it out every time.
Just copy and paste.
Copy paste. Hey guys, just send it over. Please check with you, and you can use blanket statements like, please follow up with your agent if you have questions, to where you're not having to retype Sam or Chris or Robert or Catherine every time.
Yeah.
And if you want to, if it's somebody that you like need to specify that, you can always remove your agent and put somebody's name. But
Mhm.
I would make it a blanket statement that's usable without edit.
I'm for that. That would be, yeah, easy. Because, yeah, text seems to definitely be the easiest communication all around. Agents, clients. I mean, I've had to text you for you to text your clients to get doc signed. So, I mean, it's the easiest form nowadays with how simple it is to send a text.
Yep. And all of those clients that that you asked me to text, we're in a group chat already together. So I just hit up the group chat. And what that does is not only the husband that hadn't signed yet, but the wife sees it that the husband hadn't signed yet.
Yeah.
So she can follow up with him too and make sure that he signs. It's no longer just me. I know she'll make him do it.
Exactly. That's what we're here for.
So
No, women.
Yeah, you got to I think about all those things. I'm like, look, if more people know, then there's more people following up and make sure something gets done. Then it's just texting the husband or the wife separately.
Yeah. Well, in just a minute. Men don't usually look at their phone. Has a phone, and he doesn't use it, but to text me. So the easiest way for him to get things done, not in your case, Chris and Robert, because y'all have a business, but for him, he doesn't look at his phone. So yeah, to text a group where the wife sees it, and she's like, hey, by the way, you haven't signed this. So that is a really big help. So yeah, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, so it sounds like having the agents make notes of the client's preferred communication style inside their CRM, then having us make notes of the agent's preferred communication style. So the agents are taking care of their clients and their communication style.
Mhm.
And then we're looking at the agents and knowing their communication preferred. Then establishing best practices for client, agent, and TC communication. Just a simple guideline, like here's how we do it. Once you're under contract, you're going to do a group text. The group text is going to have these parties. And then what Catherine said, not to put details in the text message, but rather to reference to email instructions. So Irene might go in and say, hey guys, I updated you in email with the next steps or with this process or with this document.
Mhm.
That way the text communication is happening, but we're pointing them to the right pathway. And then also having various email templates that are just ready to go. We could even come up with text templates for agents to use that might be some important outline of like when you're introducing your TC. Don't just say, this is Irene, and this is what Irene does. This is what you basically set expectations. The agent's setting expectations when they're making these group chats.
Yeah, when we did emails, Kat did like, I don't even remember, like 10
Well.
templates. I think I had, and it might even be more than that. It might be like 12 for each individual person that I'm going to email. Introduction email to an agent, introduction email to a client, introduction email to title, to lender. She sent me like so many. So that's what I use.
And you
I
made
didn't
it
even know
for
that.
each
I would
agent?
love to see those.
You made it
Yeah,
for each agent's name as well?
Yeah, like I go in and she's got certain spots where I edit things.
Okay.
So like good morning, good afternoon, which one I'm going to use, what my name is, and then what the agent that I'm representing. So, hi, I'm Irene Nunez. I am the TC for, and I'll put like Chris Raines.
Sorry.
What, Chris?
When you said my name is?
He had a squirrel moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I heard. My name is.
So
yeah, I have
going-
to create templates. It's the easiest way to do because you basically say the same thing every contract
Over and
to the
over.
title and to the lender and to your
Mhm.
agents, to your agents' clients, right? So yeah, I went through and created templates, and I was like, you can change them if you want, make them how you
Yep.
want, but you can save them in Google as a template. So then you just put in the agent's or whomever's email, click the template you want, and it auto fills it, and then you just change what you need to and send it off.
And you and Chris and Robert, y'all have probably, Chris, probably more you, because we did it a little bit after I already had your contract, Robert, but you have probably seen a few of them where I've sent to your clients like introduction or to you introduction because I CC you. So you've probably seen some of the templates.
I liked it. I like it a lot.
Cupcake for Kat.
He's on the movie roll right now. We're referencing.
Awesome. So going back to what you've been working on, figuring out the agent communication style, figuring out how to get agents and clients to effectively respond to you, getting documents organized in Dotloop. What are some of the things you've been doing? How have you been doing that? What has been your process to try and address these things? What have you been working on this week?
Kat has been a really, bless her heart, she's been a really big help because even though I've already been an agent, I've always done my own deals. I don't do TCs and things like that. So me coming in and stepping into that role, I want to make sure that I go above and beyond to help these agents. Some that are newer, some that have already been doing stuff. Chris, who is a freaking rock star, I want to make sure that I'm coming in and going above and beyond so that I am worth every penny that is being spent. Kat already does kind of have experience with all this TC stuff. So I have been on the phone with her a lot to make sure that if I have a question on something or to verify something, either I'm going to the right person, whether it be you, Chris, or an agent, just making sure that I'm hitting every little spot. So my biggest help during all this has been Kat. We've had
Not even surprised. Catherine's amazing.
very long phone calls.
Also, one thing that I've really liked that you've done, and you can add it into my calendar as much as you want, setting up those Google Calendar reminders, even for the earnest money and those little things.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Like literally, if it's not on my calendar to eat, like I might not have time to eat before my next meeting. Like I function so well with that Google Calendar reminding me to do stuff, and any little alarm on there or whatever to be like, oh, yep, got to get that done. Helps a lot. And
she made that very imperative that was a big thing that I did. She was like, because a lot of top producing agents will go strictly off that calendar. If it's not on there, they don't do it. She was like, that's literally how I run my day. It's brought up, but I watch it.
Are you setting that up for estimated closing dates as well?
Yep. So you'll get one. I'm a little behind today, but I've got ones that go out for like projected closing dates. And then as we move a little bit closer, I'll schedule it. And then as I schedule it, I add in your client, and the location and everything, time and everything of closing, so that it's all in that calendar.
Okay.
Awesome.
Are you doing that for like appraisal due back too? I know you're sending out an email. Is it easier to send out an email, or is it easier to just do a quick calendar and invite appraisal due back?
So for appraisals are a little bit harder, especially getting in touch with lenders seem to be a little bit harder than I remember.
Shouldn't be my lenders.
Yeah, not your lenders. I haven't had an issue with yours, but some of the other lenders that I've dealt with, and Robert, the one that you set up with CMG, flipping phenomenal with communication. I mean, they were emailing me back and forth yesterday because since they swapped lenders, and it was amazing. And Chris.
Shout out to Carrie Ann and Sean Hewitt, who stepped in, and
they were great.
I love Sean. I've done so many deals with Sean, and I was telling the client, I was like, listen, if there's anybody that I would trust when they say their words, like Sean is super conservative. If I remember, he's from New York, and he'll be the first one to tell you, nah, this is screwed. He'll tell you. So when Sean comes in and says, I'm going to get this done, he doesn't say that lightly. And so with this particular situation, so shout out to every lender, by the way, and every partner and every agent who has good, consistent communication. Surprisingly, you're an anomaly. Thank you for everything you do. We can't thank you enough.
It's a lot easier when communication is like spot on. Makes it a lot easier for me to be able to add those calendar events for agents so that they can keep up with it as well. If I can't for some reason seem to get it into their calendar though, I've made sure I'll CC them in the email if I get something from the lender that's an update on the appraisal, or it's been ordered, or it should be back by this date. I at least either email them or text them to let them know if I can't get it in the calendar first, I at least want to make sure that that agent is notified right off the bat so that there's no delay on their side.
So what got in your way? What slowed you down this week from
My
accomplishing
house.
goals?
My house, we have some plumbing issues, so my house, it puts me behind when I can't get up there first thing in the morning and get things going, because it seems that everybody does their best amount of work between 8 and 12. Once lunch hits and then they come back from lunch, everything kind of slows, and it's Friday, so lunch hits and then everybody's like, woo, it's the weekend.
This is exactly why I don't take lunch.
Yeah, it doesn't work for agents, because our weekend is our busiest time. That's when that's when our clients are off work. That's when they get to look at houses. That's when we work deals the most. I mean, sometimes it's easier to even lead gen on the weekends because people are off work, so you have a better chance of catching them. So for us, the weekend, it doesn't stop because the weekend. For other people, it does, though, so it slows things down a little bit. So
I'm trying to get the new agents to understand that too, because that's one flaw in Robert and I making a calendar, and then them looking at Robert's schedule, and he's off on Sundays and on call on Saturdays, and they look at my schedule, and I'm like, I'm off on Saturdays and on call on Sundays, rather than thinking like, hey, this is the most productive time that I probably could be working.
Yeah, it is the busiest time. I mean, that's usually when showings are the weekends. That's why open houses are usually on Sunday.
So by leading by example, while we do work, I'm still working. I'm still taking calls. I'm not working hard, and I don't work a lot on trying to get new clients all the time, because I've done different things to lead to that, to where it happens now naturally. So I don't have to constantly go chase leads. I used to chase leads constantly, but I grinded so much through that. But the agents, I mean, they made their calendars, and let's be real, most of them put that they were off on the weekends. Yep. Would you agree, Robert?
Oh, yeah. And I think that's going to be a learning point that we have to figure out respectfully, but quite directly, to help them to understand, because we can't mandatory them into anything.
No, you can't mandatory, but it's like,
but we can help them and encourage them and nudge them, and also show them reality of what's happening. I think
they can't judge what they do now to a 3-year agent that grinded it out 2-3 years ago to get to where they are now, to have the success, to be able to not work weekends constantly.
Yeah.
So I think something that would be useful is to just basically show them what's happening on the weekends that should be basically happening in their business. Giving them examples, not judgments, but examples. Listen, this is what's happening in this weekend. And if it's not happening in your business, you need to look at your business and say, wait, why aren't I doing these things on the weekend? Why aren't these things happening on the weekend that are happening for more successful agents? Because all we do is imitate the highest and best use of habits. A lot of us just don't know what they are. And so maybe doing that. But Irene, going back to not being able to get in first thing in the morning when personal life stuff comes in, is there ways that we could have a backup plan? You're sick, you're got plumbing issues, especially with you because you're hands-on in transactions, right? Like Chris's role is imperative, but if he misses a team leadership meeting, we're going to notice, but it's not going to prevent the agents where they're not waiting on Chris to do something for them that day. So in your particular role, you have such a unique role because you are hands-on and you are taking responsibilities, not all of them, but some very particular responsibilities, and putting them on your shoulders, transaction coordinator. Maybe something we could think about. We don't have to do it now because we're running over on time, but maybe something we can think about, and I feel like this is very much a Catherine thing as well, is how do we protect you, Irene, and your job when the reality of life happens, when a pipe breaks, when you have COVID, when these things happen? How do we protect you to where you're not having to drag yourself out of bed if that's not the best thing for you to do that morning. But we also are protecting the agents who might be assuming that you are going to be there. I think that would be a great thing. Maybe. What do you think, Catherine, Irene? Do you think that's something we could think about and maybe come up with a solution, a backup plan, a strategy, so that when the inevitable happens, we have a process. Okay, Irene is sick. Welcome to life. Okay, how are we going to let her rest and get better, but also keep everything moving forward on the transactions?
I think the most important part of that is making sure that the agent is following along. When I'm giving them updates and I'm telling them this, and we're here in this process, and we're here, in the file and such, they need to be checking in with that as well. Because then if I go down, they know, okay, I'm right here. She can't move forward with it. So it's my job then to move this doc here, get this doc signed, make sure this is scheduled here. So I think it's just a matter of keeping sure that the agents are staying on track with the transaction as well, and being involved and asking questions. That will pretty much take care of that by itself.
Now, do we have something that a timeline they can follow that would help? Because a bunch of emails might be difficult. Wait, which one was the most recent email? I'm just being honest, right? If I get a bunch of emails, I'm gonna be like, okay, wait, which one just happened? And then did this happen? Because and this is part of something, is having a list of when the TC CCs who on what, to keep them involved and aware. Because there are times, I know, Irene, there's times where you reached out to a party directly and I wasn't on that email. That's not a critique. It's saying you're doing your job. I just didn't know that you had done that until it had come back to me. But if I knew, or I was CC'd, or we had some sort of timeline, I could, whether that's a software, I know there's softwares out there, whether that's a spreadsheet, I don't know, but I agree with you. I think having a timeline where agents would be like, okay, Irene's sick, but here's where she left off. Great. I can pick up that mantle. I can pick up that torch and carry this right through. I think that could be, just a thought. I think that could be really helpful.
I think we could create a checklist that the agents have available to them if they choose to use it. I said, I think we could create a checklist that the agents have available to them, whether they choose to use it for every single transaction, so they can check box that stuff off, so they know when it's getting done is up to them.
I agree.
We can have something like that, so that if she does go down for a little bit and she makes the announcement of, hey, I'm going to be out for a day or two, not doing really well, please make sure you're checking your contracts. If you're a good agent and you were following that checklist, or even if you catch it up, you're going to know where to pick up off of. Whether you're on the emails or not, you should know that. And to be honest, Robert, I know you're good at checking them. I know a lot of agents aren't. They expect it to be done, and so therefore they just delete the stuff as it comes through, right? If that's the case, then they're screwed regarding the emails anyway. Every agent is different, right? Some agents will read every single email. Some will see it and be like, oh, okay, she messaged the lender, we should be good, right? Unless you text them directly. So we can create.
But I like creating that checklist and then saying, listen, here, let me teach you why this is important, why you should use this, even if Irene is superwoman and healthy as can be and involved. Here's why you should still be following along on this checklist, no matter what. Here's the other thing. Clients won't always call Irene first. If the agent isn't following along, the agent may make themselves look like they don't know what's happening because they're not following along. They'll call and they'll be like, hey, so-and-so just told me about the appraisal. And you're like, oh, wait, what? Sorry. What about the appraisal? The appraisal happened? Oh, whoops. But if they were following along that checklist, open up an email from Irene. Okay, Irene has ordered the appraisal. Checklist, appraisal ordered. Now they know where they're at. And when the clients are calling from them, they can literally say, here's what's been done, here's where we're at, and here's where we're going next. So I think that checklist would be awesome. And then explaining it to the importance of the agent, giving them some scenarios, and then pointing them back to that, because inevitably, I think we know that implementation is a struggle for most people. But I think now it gives something for Irene and Catherine in particular, to point agents back to, hey, Irene, where are we at again? Hey, go check your checklist. Literally, go check your checklist. What's the last thing you have checked off? You can even question them because you should be. Your job is not to update them again and again about the same things you updated them. That's not a good use of your time. It's not good for the client, and it's not good for the agent because that's a bad habit. That's a habit that takes their role and makes them, in many ways, useless because they don't even know what's happening in the representation that they should be happening. But now you can point them back. Go check your checklist. Oh, my checklist says under contract. Okay, so we've been missing some things. Right. And now we can push them into that habit. Even for myself, that would be super awesome. Now, I'm good at putting things on my calendar and I'm pretty much usually on point. You know, Irene, that I read every email, but I would still, for me, how organized I am, I would love a checklist. So I feel better. Check. Yep. Check. I assume I know what's going on, but that checklist would make me feel a lot better as well. So I love that idea. Okay. So what do you feel is best for you to focus on next week for the team, Irene?
Still communication, because I've still got a few contracts that are missing signatures. So unfortunately, still focusing on communication and getting things actually nailed down so these agents are getting things signed.
Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Signature
that's a really
should
big
not
one.
be an issue for us. That should be something that is immediate.
Yeah, that seems to be a really big issue that I'm having.
On Monday, we can go over some specifics of any individuals and things like that, and see how we can address that. So communications, contracts missing signatures on both the client and agent side. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all part of the agent's job. But I meant, like, are there agents not signing things too, or is it just the agents not getting their clients to sign things?
It's kind of both. So some agents will, I guess, miss where I've sent things and they won't sign, or there'll just be one client. Like, there's two clients, there's one client that hasn't signed. It kind of just varies if
So you're
one's
notifying
missing or
the
both
agents they need
missing.
to sign. They're struggling not signing it. Are they communicating with you? Are they saying, "Hey, I can't find the document"? Hey, or
That's
is it
the
just
process
you're
we're
waiting?
working on.
Yeah,
What?
that's
That's the process we're in the middle of working on.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what
'cause
I want to know too, right? Is I want to know, like, are they actively trying to alleviate the problem, or are they ignoring it?
yeah.
Like I said,
I think it comes back to agents being new and not wanting to bother people, even if it's their clients needing to sign. I have a feeling that may be part of it. So it's just
I'll
going to
give
be
my
something
clients a
that's
choice. I'm like,
I
hey,
think it's something that's going to have to be reiterated during team
Yeah.
meeting with the agents to
Mhm.
let them know the imperativeness of getting stuff signed ASAP, and that
Yeah.
you're not bothering your clients. It's your duty to make sure they get it done.
Yeah,
So
because
I
the biggest issue is if it's not signed in time, I'm not hitting that 48-hour mark that Chris was very imperative about on Sky Slope. So then I'm getting messages from the people that are auditing the Sky Slopes that, hey, why isn't this updated? But this transaction's been live for a week now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't sign for that client. So I need that agent to be on that client
absolutely.
consistently, make sure that that's getting signed so that I'm not getting messages in Skyslope of like, hey, you've got everything updated but this one thing, and why isn't this one thing on there? I'm trying.
I think this would be what would be really cool is for a tip of the week, maybe next week, is your tip of the week is about the importance of getting documents signed and filled out in a timely manner. And even explaining, right? EXP is watching this. They're auditing these files. The other agent on the other side is looking and seeing how long it's taking you, because they're not looking at the clients. They look at us. They go,
Yeah.
Catherine, you're either doing it in a timely manner. Even if it's not 100% Catherine's fault, we all know we get the blame anyway. We get the blame. So we better be doing everything we can to minimize the
I watch
blame.
it. If I'm working with an agent and they don't send me stuff signed and I've asked for it 3 different times, you're a lazy agent. I'm sorry, you are. That's your job. So if you're not reaching out and saying, hey, my clients are being difficult, I promise I'm trying to get it signed and give me some type of update, that's
Right.
a failure. That's a failure on your side because you are a business owner. It's your
Mhm.
responsibility to keep your business partners that you're working with
moving.
updated on what's going on. So I definitely think a video for it, but I think touch a base on it during team meeting.
Okay.
With-
During team meeting as
I'll do
well.
that video today. I haven't done my Friday one, so I'll actually make a today's video and then can just kind of reiterated
Reiterate it on
team
the
meeting.
team
That way
meeting.
they've kind of already got it in their head for today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just making a note, putting that into the team meeting as well. Okay.
We've lost the lumberjack.
He's probably
Good call.
sneezing up a storm.
He's gone
So,
invisible.
Let's just kind of wrap this up. So the last thing is super quick, autonomy. Here's all I wanted to say, and I think we've all already starting to see this. You decide what's best for your department and the goals. You decide and you lead. That even means amongst the leadership team. Yes, there are team leaders, but I'm not the director of transactions and the director of operations, and I don't know what you know, and I don't think I'm nearly as good at what you do, and that's why you're here. So I want to emphasize that you have that autonomy, that you can turn around and say, this is that we trust you to say, this is what we need to try for transactions. This is what we need to try for operations. This is what I need. And I need you to trust me to do it and help me to implement this, because that's how we find the better processes. That's how we find the growth. Not one person saying, I know what's best for everyone. We all know that's a lie. That is not true. I want to encourage you to, if you need help from anybody, whether that's leadership team or even members of the team, to not be shy to book time with them and leverage them. Whether that's an agent doing a great job at following a checklist and reminding them, hey, here's something that so-and-so did and they were following the checklist, reinforcing those great habits. I think will go a long way as well. But also, like, if you need me, just book some time with me if you need direct one-on-one. I just want you to know, and that's everybody. I'm talking to everybody, even though Chris is probably dealing with something. But I want to put that
It's
out
okay.
there.
His dolls are watching.
They're watching. They're always watching. But I wanted for everybody, Catherine, Chris, Walter, Irene, of course, that you have that autonomy. You're the leader. You're the leader of what you're doing. And so you decide what you think is best for accomplishing the goals that we have, and then use the resources, the people, the resources that we have to accomplish those goals. So yeah, thanks for everybody who tuned in for this extra long episode. But to be honest, I think this might be one of my favorite team leadership meetings we've ever done, because I feel like we got into a lot of the stuff we've been trying to get into. And now I feel like Monday, we're going to get into even more specific details. So what I'm going to do next is I wrote down people's, basically paraphrased everybody's answers to all these questions. I'm going to start sending that to each of you. Maybe I'll just put it in the team leadership chat. I don't know. So forgive me. I'm trying to learn. But that way you have a reference for what we talked about, and you don't have to go watch this hour and 50-minute video to remember what we talked about. Even discuss things like issues/improvements and what we're trying to accomplish. Please leverage each other. But I think we've got some really cool things, and I'm really excited. Thank you, everybody, for watching. So just an important reminder, from here on out, it will be live just on Fridays at 8 a.m. Central. Irene, that's for you. Fridays, 8 a.m. Central. The Monday leadership meetings will now be offline. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Please keep coming back, because we're going to, once you start to see us come out with this stuff that we're working on, this is going to be what helps you as an individual, as a team, as a brokerage grows. We're doing the hard topics, and we're working on the solutions for you with our time and our money.
And we're working on that tracker up there in the right-hand corner.
We really got to update that. We really do, because that is not accurate by any means. So thank you again, leadership team. Thanks for being so amazing and being here and sticking in longer today as we address some really amazing things that we're going to do. I appreciate you all. Everybody have a blessed day and an awesome, productive, great weekend.
Bye, guys.
Bye.